So hit *6, Counselor.
Okay, I just unmuted myself.
There you go. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. It is 6:34. I will call the Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021 meeting of the Superior Common Council to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
liberty and justice.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councillor Ledeen.
Here.
Councillor Van Sickle.
Here.
Councillor Bender.
Here.
Councillor Sweeney.
Here.
Councillor Fennessy.
Here.
Councillor Elm.
Here.
Councillor Ludwig. Councillor Sutherland.
Here.
Councillor Kern.
Present.
Councillor Dahlbeck.
Here.
Everyone is present.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. First item is approval of the minutes from the February 2nd regular council meeting.
So moved.
Motion to approve.
The motion is by Councillor Elm, the second by Councillor Bender. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Item 4.1 is a presentation from Taylor Peterson, President, CEO of Superior Chamber, Travel Superior Chamber Foundation, to provide a tourism update and organizational overview.
Welcome, Mr. Peterson.
Thank you very much. Good evening, members of the council, Mayor Payne, staff, department heads, and also the guests on the call or on the meeting today. I'm going to share my screen and share a presentation that I'd like to go through with all of you tonight to give you a little bit of an organizational overview, as well as a tourism update on where we stand in the city of Superior and how we do what we do as the tourism entity for the city of Superior. Can you all see my screen?
No.
No.
Yes, but it's the you're displaying your Zoom meeting with us.
Okay.
Taylor, just go through it. I already looked at it. It looks good.
Nothing? Can you see an agenda?
No, I'm afraid not.
Is there anything that, Terry, I guess, anything I need to do to share it differently on my end?
He was seeing his screen because you have two screens.
Do you have two screens?
I do, but it's on the screen.
Go ahead, Dan.
That
Turn your mic on, Dan.
Yep, if you have two screens, Dan Shea here, you're going to want to drag over to the screen that you had your Zoom call on. That's what we were able to view once you shared your screen.
Yep, and I did that, so I don't know, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I don't know what I would be doing differently. So I apologize that you can't see it on the screen this evening, but I did actually send it out today for this reason, in case there were any difficulties, any technical errors, or any also for consideration. So with that, please refer to the packet that I did send out, or the presentation that I did send out. I'm going to go over an introduction. I'm going to talk about our organizational overview, our marketing approach, tourism's importance and its impact in the city of Superior, and Douglas County for that matter, the state of Superior tourism, and then I'm going to wrap it up with some questions. I know you guys and gals have some pretty heavy agenda today, so I would definitely welcome questions at the end, and I'm going to try to be as brief as possible, but I do believe it's important for me to spend some time going over what we do and how we do it. So with that, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. My name is Taylor Peterson. I'm the president and CEO of the Superior Douglas County Area Chamber of Commerce, which includes Travel Superior, the Chamber, and our Chamber Foundation. I was born and raised in Superior. I have a fantastic job promoting the community that I love so much. I did move away to the Twin Cities for about 7 years, but I am glad to be back, and I'm glad to be promoting the community we love. So I'm going to move on to the who we are organizational overview section. Travel Superior is the DMO or destination marketing organization for Superior and Douglas County. We technically are the Superior Douglas County Visitor Bureau, Inc., doing business as Travel Superior. It is our mission to market Superior Douglas County as a premier travel destination outside the region through tourism promotion and development. We're a nonprofit organization. Substantially, we get our funding from the hotel motel tax in the city of Superior. We do receive 70% of the city's hotel motel tax per state statute. And we retain, of that 70%, we retain 66.8%. We also get some funding through Douglas County. We get some state of Wisconsin grants. We do sell some sponsorships, and we do also sell some ads and things like that. Moving on to the Travel Superior's Welcome Center. Our Welcome Center is located in the Bong Center, in the lobby of the Bong Center. We help 25 to 30,000 visitors a year. We're specialized in helping the traveling public. We help people from literally every country, or every state in the United States, dozens of countries per year. Just as a snapshot, our lead country that visits us is Canada. We do have a leader in recent years being the country of Germany. We operate on seasonal hours. We do staff year round, but we expand to 7 days a week during the summer. Our staff out at the Welcome Center field calls, emails, fill requests, and most of all, they're kind of that face of Superior, that for those that like to get information in person, they're there to give directions. They're there to be a smiling face. And I think that is a big deal to a lot of our travelers, because it's a warm welcome, in many cases, to the state of Wisconsin. Moving on to the slide of the Chamber. The Chamber of Commerce is a members-based organization. We were established in 1883. Once again, a nonprofit organization. We're more or less just focus on individual businesses and members that we promote to the community, not the tourism aspect as much. That's obviously more on the Visitor Bureau side. We're the collective voice of business. We represent about 400 organizations through our memberships. We always welcome everybody as members of our organization. We advocate and work on legislative policy. We do community development, economic development, and in many respects, the Chamber is kind of an air traffic controller of the community. We're the first place that a lot of people go for information. We're the first place that a lot of businesses go when they're starting up, and we direct them accordingly to different resources, different grant programs, different assistance that they may be looking for or need. Moving on to the Chamber Foundation. The Chamber Foundation is more or less underneath the operations of the Chamber itself. We have yet to do a fundraising campaign for it. It will be a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and the Chamber Foundation does educational programming, it does workforce development, and it does youth education and development. Moving on to the Tourism Development Fund, TDF. This isn't part of our organization, but I know we have gotten a few questions on it in recent Finance Committee meetings, and I thought it was important to include a slide in the presentation tonight, but in what I sent out to our counselors today, is the TDF is a committee of the City of Superior. It provides marketing grants for promotion and development of events, tourism ideas, things that drive tourism and bring people to Superior. It was established by City Ordinance 74-68. It retains 9.5% of the 70% we receive, hotel motel tax we receive from the City of Superior. So it is administered by the Chamber of Commerce. Primarily, my belief was that this was to be in compliance with the statutory use of hotel motel tax. And we do voluntarily chair the committee, and we report financials, we report checks cut, minutes, things like that with the city finance committee 4 times annually. Moving on to the slide that says, who is tourism? I think this is a really important slide. Mayor Payne, obviously that's you. And I love this picture. I think that this is the heart of one of our most beloved, festivals here in the city of Superior, the Lake Superior Dragon Boat Festival. The answer to that question is tourism is all of us. A visitor's experience isn't just driven from where they stay, eat, recreate. It's a compilation of the community, the energy, and everyone they interact with. And I think that's really important to note, because the tourist experience isn't just from where they stay. It isn't just the 1 or 2 people they interact with. It's everybody, and it's everybody's experience and really responsibility to give them the best experience possible. We all realize that if somebody has a bad experience, they're going to tell 10 people. If somebody has a great experience, they're going to go home and tell 2 or 3. So I think this is a classic example of the gentleman with I believe it's horns on his head, is from Canada, and they come back every year. They love the festival, but they love the people they interact with, and I think this is a great example. He's smiling. He just got done paddling a 1/4 of a mile on the Lake Superior Dragon Boat Festival, and it's a fun example of the spirit of tourism in our community. How we market and promote. We promote primarily through 4 different mediums: advertising, public relations, social media, and website. All these are very, very broad, but advertising would consist of digital interactions and placements on websites and things like that. Not to be confused with other website advertising. Digital is more strategic in that when you Google, I want to travel to Northwest Wisconsin, that'll trigger some of our advertising to pop up on your screen digitally. We do work through public relations and sending out press releases to earn coverage and attention that we might not be paying for. Chances are we really never pay for any of that type of earned media, but that's just extended reach for the press releases that we send out and the good things that might be happening in our community that we're helping to publicize. Of course, social media, it's a big part of pretty much our everyday life. This includes, we choose 4 social media platforms to advertise on: Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter. By far the largest investment of our media mix is through digital. It's easiest to track, it's easiest to focus. We can specifically market to the interest of the travelers, and we can narrow it down to a geographic region. Where billboards, sure, they're a great advertising tool, and we have done them. You're going to, in the Twin Cities metro or something like that, you're going to maybe capture 3 million impressions a day during a pre-COVID day, but you don't really know how those translate. You don't know if those are people that are going to be able to come to the area. You don't know if they're interested in coming to our area. We're digital. You can focus that a little bit more and really put some of that advertising on the phones, on the computers of people that are interested in traveling. Historic target markets. I listed some of our out-of-state markets here: Chicago, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Thunder Bay. By far, our largest target market is Minneapolis and St. Paul. In-state markets would include Beloit, Milwaukee, Madison, Appleton, Green Bay, Door County, and Eau Claire. I would say our largest attention has been focused on Eau Claire. We try to stay within that 2 to 3 hour window drive time of Superior and Douglas County. And we spend a lot of time on that, and we spend a lot of attention on that because that's far enough away from home for most people, but not too far. And that's kind of the story of our target markets and why we do it. tourism's impact or importance and impact. I did include a line chart in here, and it's the historic annual hotel motel tax gross collections in Superior. And I do want to spend a little bit of time on this. You'll see that, I went back 20 years. So based on the last 20 years, this chart illustrates the last 20 years of gross hotel motel tax collections in the city of Superior. Hotel motel tax is a tax that our citizens don't pay, but it contributes to economic impact. It contributes to additional sales tax. It contributes to food and beverage tax, sales tax. It supports businesses that pay property tax. So at the end of the day, tourism really contributes to the assets in our community, and they support the quality of life that we live and breathe here in the city of Superior. Sorry, give me 1 second. From 2000 to 2019, of course, you're seeing a dip in 2020 because of COVID. I'll talk about that more in just a minute. But from 2000 to 2019, you're seeing approximately 150% increase in tourism. And going back to that slide of who tourism is, that's because of everybody. That's not just because of Travel Superior. And I want to make sure to be clear about that. It takes everybody to increase tourism. It takes everybody to provide the positive experience and keep our tourists coming back. But I am really proud of a 150% increase over the last 20 years of tourism in Superior. And this is just one metric that we use to measure tourism in the city of Superior. Like I said, tourism does increase our quality of life. A lot of our tourism assets are enjoyed by our citizens as well. But tourism is everything from sports, events, festivals to our restaurants and our breweries and really anything that is enjoyed by our tourists. So no doubt it contributes to jobs, it contributes to sales tax, it contributes to business development. But let's move on to the pandemic a little bit. Obviously, you saw a pretty significant slide in the hotel motel tax, collections. This is for good reason. Obviously, COVID impacted all of our organizations to some degree, food and beverage especially, hospitality especially. I'll talk a little bit more later on, but we're actually pretty lucky to see the decrease that we saw. Looking at overall 2020 was about a 20% decrease in hotel motel tax collections. Some communities saw 50 to 70 to 80% decrease in hotel motel tax. And that's a significant hit because that's just one measure of the community. Let's move on to the other investment or other impact slide here. Our investment in tourism makes a big impact. Based on a third party, Longwoods International, it publishes results of economic impact from tourism every May from the previous year. Tourism generates real dollars in our community. And this is on a county level, but in 2019, tourism has an estimated generation of 106.4 million in direct visitor spending, 154.3 million in total business sales, directly employs 1,376 estimated jobs, and of that generates a little over 31 million in labor, and $11.8 million in Douglas County for state and local sales tax that our residents don't need to pay. So I think those are really important numbers, and I wanted to make sure that our council is aware of that. The state of Superior tourism. There's a slide with a bike lane in front of the Millennium Trail sign, and the quote on it was actually from the quote on the slide is from Longwoods International, the third-party data research. The outdoors is a top reason for visiting Wisconsin, and this is very true. It's also a top reason for visiting Superior and Douglas County. There's no question that the outdoors, the lake, our woods are one of our top tourism assets. This is in line with state tourism. This is in line with national tourism and the importance it plays. This has been in line with our city priorities. And I applaud our city council, both current as well as previously, our current administration, as well as previous administrations in the mayor's seat. Capitalizing on our outdoor recreational assets has always been a priority. And that's part of the reason that we're positioned so well to bounce back on tourism from where we could have been had we not had the outdoor assets that we have. And I'd like to move on to the next slide here. We are bruised but not broken, and that's very true. It's like I said, hospitality, food and beverage, tourism got beat up in 2020. We're hopeful, cautiously hopeful for 2021. The vaccination rollout in the state of Wisconsin and across the nation, across the world, is really a sign of hope, and it really impacts the persona and the mentality of our tourists going forward. We are no different as an organization. For somebody that relies so heavily on hotel motel tax, we plan for the worst. Everybody, including myself, was furloughed at one point in time during 2020. We were reduced down to about 40% for months during 2020. We wanted to make sure we had tourism dollars to promote. We were planning for about a 70% reduction overall in our hotel motel tax based on what was known about the industry and what was known about COVID-19. And we really did. We planned for the worst. We made some very tough decisions. Tourism luckily bounced back, and business stayed okay in our community throughout 2020. So we were able to bring our staff back. We were able to continue on with a lot of our marketing programs, but we still had to be cautious. And that was something that was really, a hard part of COVID and its impact on tourism. Some of my colleagues throughout the state of Wisconsin are still at 70% reduced, 60% reduced tourism. That's really hard. And that only echoes into your business community, your food and beverage community. And that's really difficult. In addition, at the end of 2020, we did apply for and receive a state of Wisconsin CARES Act grant called the Travel Stimulus Grant. It has a visitor bureau, significant funds. It was $150,349. And that gave us the confidence to go into 2021, full marketing strategy, full operations, knowing that we still have to be cautious because you don't know what's around the corner and you don't know how COVID can change. But ultimately, that grant has enabled us to have confidence and surety going into 2021. So I did want to mention that, and that was a wonderful ray of hope and a priority for tourism at a state level in our state. Governor Evers' administration really put tourism as a priority and designated dollars, significant dollars, to help out tourism organizations like ours, as well as attractions. So other 2 points on this was basically, recent study said 81% of American travelers are planning to travel in the next 6 months. And this includes traveling to visit friends and relatives, going to a beach waterfront, and taking a road trip. We're positioned really well for going to a beach waterfront as well as taking a road trip. Last point, certainly not least, is we're positioned to bounce back to tourism much better than most. We are drivable for the Midwest. We're drivable for Canada. Driving is seen as a safe way to recreate a safe way to travel right now. And the other side of that too is outdoor recreation is a motivator for people in what they want to travel for right now. So we're positioned really well going into 2021. A glimpse of our next marketing campaign. Sorry, I can't share this with everybody else on the call, but marketing campaign starting in 2021 is Remember Fun. And refresh your memory in Superior and Douglas County, Wisconsin. It's being cautious of and sensitive to the pandemic and where there's visitor hesitation. As a region, as a city, we offer so much to our visitors that it's really versatile. We can use it in a number of different ways. It means different things to different people, and I think that's where part of the messaging is intentional. And the other side of that too is it really points out that our visitors that we're here when you're safe to travel, and we're fun, and I do really think that as a community. So with that, I wanted to again thank all of our counselors for letting me speak to you tonight. And I would love to open it up to any questions you might have. I did include my contact information with that packet I sent out, but it was included on an email as well. So please let me know if you have any questions. As always, please let me know if you ever have any questions or want to know where's tourism at. I do report and voluntarily give a report to the Finance Committee 4 times a year. And I thought it was only fitting that I present to the full council for sure this time. So,
Are there any questions for Mr. Peterson? If not, thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Mr. Peterson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Peterson, for the presentation.
Okay, moving on to item 5, correspondence to be filed. There's no action required. And 6.1 is the mayor's report.
I'm going to keep this report. It's been a long time since we've had a council meeting, so I have kind of a lot in this report, but we also have a lot on our agenda. So if there are questions, feel free to reach out to me after the meeting or even briefly after the report. Probably the most significant event of the past few weeks, the governor released his 2021 through 23 biennium budget, and it was much like his last budget, had a lot of great things for Superior. Better City Superior was included in the budget, as was a 0.5% sales tax for local municipalities. So a small group of us met with a number of legislators, largely confined to the leadership and the Joint Finance Committee, some of their staff, as well as a few members of the Assembly Ways and Means Committee, to discuss keeping these items in or keeping them in some way that still benefits Superior and Douglas County. And it actually went much better than I think a lot of us expected it to go. I think the fiscal outlook for the state is better than most people thought at the beginning of the pandemic. So the hits to local government that we expected, it doesn't look like that they're very likely to happen. The governor actually proposed an increase in shared revenue, and from our earliest conversations, and I caution it is way too early to draw too many conclusions from this, it doesn't look like there's much appetite to actually cut shared revenue from municipalities, and there may even be some appetite to increase local revenue options. That's about all I can really say on it right now. We have to watch that process play out, but if it's anything similar to the budget process 2 years ago, and it may not be, it's likely to wrap up sometime in the summer. So in the next few weeks, we'll see the first drafts of the Assembly's version of the budget. But we will keep following that very closely. There's some other state and federal legislation that we're also watching very closely, particularly the COVID relief bill. That's one of the largest news stories in the country. I would encourage you to follow it because that bill has a lot of support for state and local governments. Most of it is COVID related, but obviously that money, a lot of it goes to vaccine distribution, which is going to be the number one tool for getting us out of the pandemic. But there are a few other very local things that we're following, and we can try and generate a legislative report if you're interested in that. Coming up for the council, at the next council meeting, I'm going to call a committee of the whole meeting to discuss a change to our call-in procedures for council meetings. We have an ordinance that is a little bit arcane at this point, or it's at least out of date, that restricts attendance to either in person or on a call. Obviously, we want to update that to allow certain amounts of virtual attendance, but that triggered a discussion. A lot of us in the administration met with the leadership to discuss how and what should be allowed for non-in-person attendance. I think we came up with a pretty decent compromise, but it generated so much discussion among us, and there was no easy and simple solution to it, and so I thought it best we just put it on committee of the whole and debate it as a whole council. So that will come at the next meeting in March. With luck, we will come to agreement and send it to the first meeting in April, which is the last meeting of this existing council. I hope to pass it at that meeting and have it in effect for our second meeting in April, the first of the new council. But I would remind you, we will still be under a state of emergency till April 30th, so we can still allow digital attendance all the way until the end of April. And I hope we will still be able to accommodate people into May, but I expect us to have an in-person quorum in May right now. Obviously, still plenty that can change, but that's the plan for right now. And finally, I wanted to pass along thank you to the police department. First, from myself and on behalf of the city council for assisting. It was a very tragic and serious response in Duluth that did not end well, as we know from the news. But the Superior Police Department is very highly trained and effective at responding to those situations, and assisted Duluth with a lot of our equipment and personnel. I got a direct thank you from Mayor Larson, and so I wanted to pass that along to the police department. I don't think congratulations are in order. It was still a very tragic event, but I'm glad that our police department was able to help. So thank you, Chief Alexander, and please thank your officers on our behalf. That is my report, unless there are questions. If not, we can go into appointments.
Okay. 6.2, the mayor.
What about committee appointments?
Yep, we're going into that right now.
6.2, the mayor is appointing Heather Rickerl to the library board, Nick Nelson to the Urban Forestry Tree Board, Tom Bridge to the Wisconsin Point Committee, and Mitchell Routh, Caitlin Bauman, Stuart Plattner, and Susan Prohaska to the Superior Public Museums Board.
Motion to approve all is written.
The motion is by Councilor Bender. The second, I believe, was by Councilor Ludwig. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion carries.
7.1 is the Finance Committee recommendations from their February 11th meeting. Report from the chair.
Chair Sweeney.
Yes, thank you. I have very little to report other than what's there. We did approve the 5-year professional contract with the baseball. And also we're currently working on a uniform application for grants. So that's all I have to report right now. Thank you.
What is the councilor's pleasure on the agreement with SYO?
Motion to approve.
The motion is by
Second.
Councilor Kern. Who made the second?
Bender.
Councilor Bender made the second. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion carries.
Item 7.2 is the Human Resources Committee recommendations from February 15th.
Chair Ludwig.
Yeah, the major thing is that we approved an update to approved time off policy for new hires. Any time off previously was not allowed in the first 12 months of probation. So basically a synopsis of what we approved. Paid time off will be prorated on a hire date basis. Leave will be available immediately for use. Paid leave used before 6 months would be required to be paid back to the city if the employee leaves before their 12-month probationary period is up. Paid leave used after 6 months would not be required to be paid back if the employee does not pass 12 months probationary period. And that was our major focus of our last meeting. Continuing looking forward, we are doing a final review of the RW study, looking for anything in the report that still needs to be addressed. And also, we're in the process of
I hear nothing.
I'm sorry.
You're on, Councilor
Okay.
Ludwig.
We're in the process of making up a final report about the study, which reflects the changes or things that were done as a result of the report and why those changes were made, and also whether the study was a worthwhile endeavor. That is it for my report. Thank you.
What is the council's pleasure on item 5, which is the policies recommended by the Human Resource Committee?
Second.
Motion is by Councilor Sweeney, the second by Councilor Ludwig. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Item 7.3 is Public Safety Committee, February 17th minutes. Is there a report from the chair?
Chair Sutherland.
Thank you, Mayor Payne. We talked briefly in both virtual reality equipment software. Captain Winterscheid gave a PowerPoint presentation on that. Even though the minutes say that we voted to approve and purchase of it, I believe it was already in the budget for it. We just discussed it and gave the blessings. We also talked about a social worker, but calling it a community outreach specialist. Officer Jago gave a presentation on that. Officer Jago explained how this position would be helpful to the department and the community and would work together with local organizations and resources. I don't believe there's anything here to approve. Just Mayor Perrin, do we receive and file this, or just carry on to the next one?
Unless there are questions for the chair, we can move on then to the Public Works Committee.
Public Works Committee recommendations from February 17th, a report from the chair.
Chair Van Sickle.
Thank you. Nothing to report, just a congratulations to RenWorks LLC for securing the roof project at Barker's Island. Other than that, motion approved. Thanks.
The motion is by Councilor Van Sickle to approve the renewal of the Civic Air Patrol land lease. Is there a second? Second. By Councilor Elm. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Item 8.1 under special committees is the Mayor's Commission on Communities of Color, February 8th meeting. Is the chair online for?
Chair Rader here. Is there anybody else who wanted to give the report from the commission? Otherwise, we can just move on. Then,
Mayor Payne, I could just quickly say that, or is Nick here?
Nick Rafferty is on the line, yes.
I would just say that our commission is moving along really well. We are establishing a proposal to seek out some training in anti-racism, sexual discrimination, things like that. And we have an email address now. We're working on a Facebook page. So we are working closely with the department heads, starting with Sue Heskin, who has been really proactive in her work to make sure that the library is serving our entire community as best it can. So I give a lot of credit to Sue Heskin. And over the course of this year, we will be inviting department heads to come visit us, to come meet us, and just to know that, we're here as a resource. We're here to be helpful, and just starting to build that relationship. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just want to remind the council, the goal of these reports is to try and update the council just what's going on with the business of the city. So what we talked about last week as we were putting this agenda together, if a committee, even a special committee, has met, I'm going to just put them on the agenda, and I'll try to give a heads up to the chair that they can send a written or even attend and give a verbal report as much as possible. I'd like the council to know what's going on with its committees. It's not going to happen every time. Some of these chairs are regular citizens and can't always make our meetings. But if any of the counselors are members of those committees, always feel free to speak up and say what's going on, even if you just attended and saw what was there. So,
Mayor Payne,
Counselor Sutherland.
while you mentioned that, I'll just give a quick report on the Commission on Disabilities and our Special Events Committee. I'm
Sure,
not the chair
Counselor,
on
could
either
I
one of
could I
them,
hold
but
you until the end of special committee reports? I'll just finish them up and then I'll
okay, yeah,
and then I'll put you there. Let's move on to Plan Commission.
Plan Commission minutes from February 17th, report from the chair.
We had a very busy Plan Commission, and I don't want to say bordered on controversial, but we had a lot to do. You'll see a number of small business grants and an amendment to the small business grant program. Basically, as this program is growing up, we're trying to identify problems or potential problems. And one of them that I and I think a few other plan commissioners worried about was the idea that once you've applied for a grant, you really only have to wait till the next year to apply for another one. And if you know how to apply for it and you've got the capital to keep doing work, the same small group of people could potentially continue to eat up the relatively small pot of money. That has not really been a problem yet, but we want to make sure that the program stays flexible. So we just created a 3-year moratorium to ensure that as many people as possible have access to it. Expect a lot of these small changes in the next couple of years as this develops. But so far, that program is going very well. I'm not going to go into item 6. That was a strange issue of a citizen that wanted us to make an amendment to our vacation policies, like street vacation and policies. We had a long discussion about it. It's a little bit confusing, so if you have questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Director Cirque about that. And then a relatively, I think, routine bluff buffer appeal. And therefore, I would unless there are questions for me, I would entertain a motion to approve all the business of the Plan Commission.
Motion to approve.
The motion is by Councillor Fennessy. I believe the second by Councillor Dahlbeck. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion carries. Okay, are there other special committee reports, Councillor Sutherland?
Yeah, thank you. The Mayor's Commission on Disabilities, we didn't have a quorum in the last meeting, but the prior ones to that, we've been working on addressing the bylaws and making sure we're up to snuff on our own committees there. The Festival Committee, we've been working on the application process moving forward because we're getting to that time of season where events are going to start applying, asking for money or sponsorships to the city. We're trying to figure out how the city can be better help in these neighborhood events. That's about it. That sums it up for me.
Unless there are questions, or are there other committee reports? Special committee reports. Then we will move on to new business.
Item 10.1, I am recommending approval of miscellaneous licenses.
So moved.
Motion to approve.
The motion is by Councillor Dahlbeck, the second by Councillor Elm. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
10.1, I am recommending approval of an original Class A beer and Class A liquor cider only for IYS Ventures, trade name iMart Stores, 311 Belknap Street.
Moved.
Second.
The motion is by Councillor Dahlbeck, second by Councillor Elm. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion carries.
10.3, I am also recommending approval of an original Class A beer and Class A liquor cider only for IYS Ventures, trade name iMart Stores, 406 Belknap Street.
Moved.
Second.
Motion is by Councillor Dahlbeck, second by Councillor Sutherland. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
10.4, Parks, Recreation, and Forester Director Kadat is recommending approval of the Hammond Park restroom facility project to Johnson Wilson Constructors for the proposed not to exceed amount of $120,557.
The motion is by Counselor Ludwig, second by Counselor Elm. Is there discussion? See none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Director Kadat is recommending approval to purchase 400 trees for the 2021 plantings from Chicktail's Nursery in the amount of $27,355.
So moved.
Motion to approve.
The motion is by Counselor Elm, second by Counselor Ludwig. Is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Director Kadat is recommending approval of award for the Barkers Island Marina and Green Stormwater Infrastructure Sub-Award Grant and Construction Contract.
Motion to approve.
The motion is by Counselor Ludwig, second by Counselor Dahlbeck. Is there discussion?
No, it wasn't
It was,
me.
I think it was Bender.
Bender it is. Counselor Bender made the second. Is there discussion then? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed say no. The motion carries.
Environmental Services Director Roberts is recommending approval of bid award for the K Street Storm Sewer Repair Phase 2 project.
Motion to approve.
Second.
The motion is by Counselor Dahlbeck, the second by Counselor Sutherland. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
10.8, Finance Director Putz is recommending to approve budget updates for the 2021 general fund budget affecting the Parks, Recreation, and Forest Department and contingency to incorporate the cost of the Superior Youth Organization Agreement.
So moved.
The motion is by Counselor Ludwig, the second by Counselor Bender. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. That motion carries unanimously.
Item 10.9 is a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Superior authorizing the termination of tax incremental district number 8.
Motion to approve.
The motion is by Counselor Elm, second by Counselor Dahlbeck. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Item 10.10 is a resolution providing for the prepayment and redemption of outstanding $2,660,000 taxable general obligation promissory note series 2112A. 2012A.
Motion to approve.
The motion is by Counselor Bender, the second by Counselor Sweeney. Counselors, just want to call your attention to this. This is, I think, kind of a big moment. This would be us paying off the Kestrel loan early. So that will be the end of our business with Kestrel. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
10.11 is a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Superior approving the form of notice to lease real property pump outlet project.
Motion to approve.
The motion by Counselor Bender. Is there a second? Second. Second by Counselor Sweeney. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Item 10.12 is a resolution introduced by the Community Development Division to set a public hearing on April 7th for the 2020 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report.
Motion approved.
Motion is by Counselor Dahlbeck, second by Counselor Ludwig. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Item 10.3 is a resolution relating to creating a commercial sexual exploitation task force in the City of Superior, and we do have a presentation this evening.
I'm going to invite Ms. Laura Gapsky up for a presentation. You were going to go first, right, Laura? Yep, and then I'll have you introduce yourself when you come up. Counselors, because this isn't listed as a presentation, I worry this falls under the 3-minute rule, but I'm asking unanimous consent that they be allowed to present longer than that. Is there objection to that?
No.
Okay, if there's not
No, it's
objection, the floor is yours, and we'll consider and ask questions afterwards. If you wouldn't mind both introducing yourselves. Laura and Tatiana.
I just want to thank everyone for allowing us to come up and okay, there we go. I just want to thank you guys for allowing us to come up and do this presentation. I'm Tatiana Burgum. I work in Duluth with North Homes Children and Family Services. I run our trafficking prevention program. I work with youth and young adults throughout Duluth and the surrounding areas who have experienced trafficking or exploitation. And so I grew up in Superior. This is my home. My family is still here. My grandma, born and raised, owned a business here. And so this is just really a close to home issue for me. And it started when I started to see youth go back and forth between the bridge. And so it's been a lot of conversations to kind of get to this point, but I will go ahead and let Laura introduce herself.
So I'm Laura Gapsky. I'm on the Superior School Board. I'm also pretty much lifelong resident here of Superior, and really pleased to be with you all here today to talk about this issue. So thank you for your time, counselors. I just want to share a little bit of narrative just about my experience learning about trafficking in our community. And that was when I was in college attending at UWS, I worked overnights in the shelter and oftentimes take crisis calls. We also, as you know, support people coming in that have been battered by their partner or experienced violence, sexual assault. And so while I was working in that shelter, we would often take in victims that had some interesting experiences. And I'll say interesting, meaning like they maybe wouldn't share with us their boyfriend's names or their partner's names, or they'd come, for a few hours and be gone the next morning. And one particular experience actually happened where it was actually a woman from out of the country, and then another woman from out of the country came into our community at our shelter as well, assisting them with a lot of barriers that were occurring. And so with that experience in the shelter at that point and learning very vaguely about trafficking firsthand by serving people in our community, I started doing research. And so that was actually in 2006, 2008 when I started doing some research. And some of you might have seen or heard of these local books. So the first one is The Lumberjack Queen, so I highly recommend it. I used my library card today, very proud of that. So talks about early 1900s rather, and the crib houses that were on the 3rd Street where prostitution was occurring in the city of Superior, Ashland, all along from the lumberjacks. So wherever there's business, where there's industry, there are people being trafficked and sexual exploitation. And the other is the Stop in the Name of the Law, True Confessions of a Superior Cop, with a brief history of the 3rd Street, the notorious red light district of North End. And so we know this is a historic issue of our community that we're hoping to address today. So, okay, so there it is. So I actually, in our PowerPoint, shared 2 recent stories that were in the news. And if you want, you can take a picture of that QR code. I will make sure this gets emailed out to you all after. Pulling up recent experiences of prosecution of trafficking in our community. And so the good news is, in talking with District Attorney Fruhoff, there is possible prosecution. This is happening in our community. It's not unheard of. And so these are 2 stories that you can see. One I just want to point out does actually charge, though, prostitution. And so that's a conversation that we need to have as a community as well. Then I just pulled up from the Polaris Project specific stats to the state of Wisconsin that are looking at what their numbers that they're seeing and that are being reported. But we also know that this is an issue that is under the radar. people don't necessarily know what to look for. We actually had a conversation with some firefighters today that said, you know, we think we might be seeing this, but we don't necessarily have all the training. And so what can we do to help? And I love that attitude of the folks in the city of Superior that want to help, want to make sure that we're supporting folks when they know there's something not right, but we don't necessarily know what to do. So these numbers are probably vastly underreported for a lot of the risk factors that survivors face when they do try to come forward. They're not going to be saying, hey, I've been trafficked. And Tatiana will talk a little bit more about that as well.
All right, so just a little background on the Safe Harbor law in Minnesota. The Safe Harbor law in Minnesota passed in 2011. It went into effect in 2014. So there was a good amount of time that this law took a while to form, to develop services, to develop a community response. And so the Safe Harbor law protects youth up to age 18 from essentially getting prosecuted for prostitution charges. And so we have this law in Minnesota, and through MDH, the Minnesota Department of Health, they consider trafficking a public health issue. And through MDH, there's grant funding for agencies such as the agency I work for, North Homes, to receive services and helping youth and survivors in different ways through housing, mental health services, things like that.
And I just wanted to add that I have been working with our local legislators to try to find out what is going on with this bill. It was introduced back in 2019. It was actually, they started working on it on 2017 and is yet to pass in the state of Wisconsin. And so really what we need to do is kind of similar to what the city of Duluth did, is the city of Superior can come together and say, we're going to put together a safe harbor, ordinance, or we're going to talk about how can we get ahead of what it will eventually be passed in the state of Wisconsin, but we can be more progressive by being proactive on it. So I just wanted to pull up some of the demographics for our area that looks at, we do see higher rates of poverty among young females, which is an age that is very easily groomed into sexual exploitation and sex trafficking. And then also look at our student demographics that I pull. Obviously, as a school board member, I'm very concerned about our youth. I've interviewed some of our youth in my previous work that I know are living on both sides of the bridge as well and are at high risk for sex trafficking or sexual exploitation. And so by looking at these demographics, you can see, Douglas County is doing better than the national average. That's awesome. I'm happy about that. But when we look at our student population, we do see a much higher rate of disadvantaged students and lower income students. We have a very high population of students eligible for free and reduced hot lunch in our community. And we also can see that our demographics of race are much more diverse than what our general county is. And so, hopefully what we're looking at is a more diverse community in the future, but that also means, and we'll talk a little bit about Native American populations being at higher risk. There's the MMIW report that just came out, a task force on that in the state of Minnesota that talks about the higher rates of Native and Indigenous folks being trafficked as well.
So just for some terminology and an overview here. So when we're talking about human trafficking, we're talking about the forced labor, and then we're also talking about the commercial exploitation piece of it. So in regards to commercial sexual exploitation, the definition of that is when anything of value or the promise of anything of value is given to a person by any means in exchange for any type of sexual activity or content. So exploitation, there might be a third-party involvement, but there might not be. So when we're talking the difference between exploitation and trafficking, that's what it is. It's that third party that is benefiting from the purchase and selling of another person. So when we're talking about labor trafficking, labor by force, fraud, or coercion, the bonded labor, involuntary servitude, sex trafficking, when a third party, a trafficker, profits from the commercial sex acts of another person. And we just also want to give credit to PAVSA. PAVSA does much of the work in Duluth, and so A lot of this research and work on this presentation information comes from PAVSA. So the key individuals in sex trafficking situations, you have the buyer, the trafficker, and the person being exploited. So it's that three-party involvement. In that exploitive situation, you have the exploiter, and that is might be for they might be exploiting someone for the purpose of survival sex, or really with youth I work with, it truly can be anything that's of value to them. It can be cigarettes, it can be a couch to sleep on. And so we're really just careful to not define anything of value because that's different from person to person. And then we also have that person who's being exploited. And also this can look like sextortion. So that's when someone is extorted online. So the state of Minnesota has what's called the Minnesota Student Survey. In 2019, we were able to add a question to the survey that asked, have you ever traded sex or sexual activity to receive food, money, drugs, alcohol, a place to stay, or anything else? 1.4% of Minnesota youth said yes to this question. That's 5,000 young people in Minnesota, which is probably an underestimate. It was only given one day. Students can take it if they weren't there. And also a lot of youth who are in a trafficking situation are not going to school. So from this data, we were able to get race and ethnicity. So American, Indian, and Native youth are affected by exploitation at 3.1%. And if you are able to look at the MMIW report, you will see that this is probably an underestimate as well, with the next percentage of youth affected being the multiple races, the Latinx, Black, African, or African American youth. Looking at gender identity, 5.9% of transgendered youth said yes to trading sex or sex acts for anything of value. That number is astounding and heartbreaking. When it comes to breaking down some myths, there's a myth that this doesn't happen to males. We're showing right here that it does, and that Minnesota boys are sharing their experiences through these survey results. I get often asked, where does this happen? Where does recruitment happen? And honestly, the answer is anywhere. But what Minnesota has found is that it happens at parties, schools, libraries, shelters, parks, juvenile detention centers, bus stops or on bus rides, abandoned buildings, and malls. And due to COVID, the rates of exploitation online have skyrocketed. And these are just a few apps that we have found that youth are being heavily groomed and targeted and exploited through. I can't remember. But we just want to say, too, that trafficking does not happen in isolation. Truly, it's the harmful attitudes, the beliefs, practices that create an environment where sexual violence and exploitation are normalized. We, by promoting healthy relationships, education, sexual violence prevention, and just a safer environment for our youth, we can truly reduce the demand and the risk factors for trafficking.
So as we were talking about some of those vulnerabilities that happen and why we wanted to highlight what the poverty rates are, that we are seeing that undocumented folks that has obviously additional vulnerabilities, homelessness. So again, sleeping with people or that sextortion happening for just some basic necessities. And so really we need to think about how can we best serve our youth. So that's something that I'm hoping this task force can address if it's approved tonight, is looking at the research of folks that are in these vulnerabilities or maybe are experiencing unsafe housing situations. So as I said, we'll send this out to look more at it as well. Just some more stats as well from the state of Wisconsin. We know our runaway youth are typically our kids in the foster care system are at higher risk as well. And so we know there's a very difficult task that our human services folks are dealing with about shortages of foster homes, and so then we bulk up more kids, or we have kids that don't have options to be able to stay somewhere else if it's not a good fit for them. We have limited options, and so again, this really says that there are 26,000 teens that have run away from home, and we know that they're also very vulnerable to that commercial sexual exploitation. And this is just a list in a very small font, so I apologize for that. For you counselors, as I said, we'll send it out. But really, what we're hoping to do is, in this process of establishing a task force, have it survivor-led. And that's going to mean that we're compensating and looking at funding for survivors to provide their expertise in any kind of development or process that we're looking at. I just want to highlight that the Superior Police Department does have a response team in partnership with the District Attorney's Office, and that works awesome. But they cannot address in their roles all of these needs that a survivor of trafficking would really be looking to help assist them get out of that situation. So it's just beyond that scope. So this is our ask to you tonight, counselors and Mayor Payne. In the city of Superior and Douglas County overall, we're asking you to take action tonight. There was a task force developed in Duluth in 2010. I served on that in 2013 for many, many years until Sunu, who now works for the city of Minneapolis, is developing a blueprint for human trafficking in for their entire city. And so I had reached out to her, talked to her about what this could look like for our community, and it does need to be tailored to. We can't just take what's going well in Duluth or Minneapolis or Milwaukee or Eau Claire. We need to have a superior response. And so that's what we're asking you to help us with your support of this task force. So this is kind of what, on this slide, looking at, it is a multidisciplinary team approach. I will let you all know that I have many years of experiencing working with coordinated community responses, a multidisciplinary team with up to 80 professionals. This is what I love to do, and I am dedicated to the city of Superior and want to assist with this task force. So we can move on to the mission. And this is the mission that we're proposing. That the Human Trafficking Task Force envisions a future where residents of Superior will be educated and informed on human trafficking, learn about prevention, and provide a safe community that listens and protects those affected by sexual violence. Our community will be able to support and respond appropriately to help promote healing for residents who are affected by human trafficking. And this is something that has been implemented in other communities as well, called the No Wrong Door policy. And that means a firefighter responding, an EMT, someone that shows up to the hospital that is being trafficked. Those folks have the skills and knowledge that they need to be able to get them to the right person that can support them, whether that's a specialized law enforcement person trained, a prosecutor that has experience working with that, an advocate that has that specialized training or services to get them the needs to get out of that situation. And so this is just a list here of some of the goals that the task force committee would have. I'll just overview them for those of you that can't see it or read it as well. Strengthen and empower the city's residents to better understand human trafficking. Enhance the city of Superior's response to human trafficking. Respond to human trafficking with a trauma-centered lens. Coordinate and connect with the county and state government. As we said, we still need to pass safe harbor in the state of Wisconsin. And additionally, advocate for funding for those, so we can have a Tatiana over in Superior or in northern Wisconsin. We also need to adopt a comprehensive approach to adult and youth victims of sexual exploitation through the survivor's input. Evaluate internal and external collaboration, training, education for those internal and external systems. Do outreach to local organizations and individuals. Identify new partners for the task force and any subcommittee that might be created to address things that are outside of the criminal justice system. Again, this all needs to be led with survivor paid input and leadership on all aspects of what we'd be adapting in the city of Superior that is best practice nationally. And community stakeholder meetings. So really meeting with folks in our community and promoting, again, our partnership. I have the agreement of the school district to back and support, making sure our youth are also protected and get the services they need. With that, we'd like to take any questions.
Thank you, Laura and Tatiana. I want to especially thank them, counselors. They really did all the heavy lifting on this proposal, and they came extremely well prepared to all of our meetings. Obviously, as you can see, they're both seasoned professionals. I want to call attention to a key point in their presentation about why this is necessary, because we actually do have, as they mentioned, a professional working group that includes Superior Police Department, Douglas County Sheriff's Office, District Attorney's Office, a number of the professional crisis response agencies that work together to address human trafficking in Superior. But the key missing voices are, as they mentioned, survivors of sexual and human trafficking, but also you, policymakers. And so this is a way of elevating the issue, giving more support and power and resources to the people that are already doing this work. So I strongly encourage you to pass this resolution tonight. But that said, are there motions or are there questions for the presenters? Oh, I'm sorry. We do have one more citizen that asked to address the council. Wouldn't mind stating your name and where you live.
My name's Nicole Thole. I actually live in Duluth. I am a staff at the Center Against Sexual and Domestic Abuse. I work as the Sexual Assault Program Coordinator. First of all, I would love to thank Laura and Tatiana for their presentation and our counselors who have worked so diligently on this proposal. As the Sexual Assault Program Coordinator, I work on direct individual advocacy with victims of sexual violence, as well as working on program development to offer education, promotional, and outreach resources to the community. And as part of that, in the 2.5 years I've worked at CASDA, while talking about sexual violence, commercial sexual exploitation and sex trafficking have been a large part of that. I've worked with people within individual advocacy who have experienced exploitation and sex trafficking. You know, it's something that they might not have realized when they came to CASDA, that this was part of their experience. It might have been something that was, you know, at the very, you know, their very priority when they came to services. And unfortunately, we obviously serve people as best as we can, but we're not fully equipped to offer the services that someone experiencing commercial sexual exploitation or sex trafficking would. So just being able to have different policies put into place, having the resources within our community, and being able to work with other agencies to have some sort of safety net for those members in our community who are experiencing commercial sexual exploitation and sex trafficking would be insurmountably helpful to the work I do. So I want to say, as a representative of CASDA tonight, we commit to working with this task force, and we also support this task force being created.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilors, what is your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Mayor. Motion to approve.
The motion is by Councilor Elm, the second by Councilor Ledeen. Discussion. Councilor Sweeney.
Thank you. It's still not clear to me what this resolution would accomplish.
This
is there, by the city council approving this, and I would hope we would, from what I gathered, but I'm still not, we can pass something and say we're in favor of this, but what's the next step? Where do we go from here?
Yeah, that's a good question, Councilor. So this resolution is doing double duty. It is a statement of support. It does call awareness to the issue. But if you look at the final paragraph, it formally creates a task force of at least 5 citizens appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the council, and 1 city councilor appointed by the president. So it will create a policy body that will make recommendations.
Okay. That's what I thought. And then it goes from there,
Yes.
wherever it goes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The one of the things that's missing from this resolution that you saw in the presentation, the mission statement and the goals, which I assume the once created and appointed, the task force would adopt those very quickly, so they would set clear goals. I think, in fact, they've the presenters brought those tonight.
I heard they had the mission statement from somebody up there, and it was complex and yet wasn't clear to me. There were many things they covered in that, and from sexual exploitation to, I didn't see sexual harassment, but I thought there was quite a broad mission statement. I don't know if that's what they meant or not, but if somebody's going to turn around and write one here, that's fine, okay?
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Hearing
Mayor Payne.
Councilor Sutherland.
Yes, I just want to thank everyone for coming up and presenting this. I clearly don't have a full idea what is going on, but I want to learn about it. And thank you, Ms. Skapsky, for calling me the other day and talking to me about it.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion carries. And unless there's business by councilors, we have no further business and are adjourned. Thank you, councilors. Good evening.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye. See
Good
ya.
night, everyone.
Have a good one.
You too,
You
Esther.
too.
I can't wait to have coffee with you.
Can't wait.
Yeah, bye.